jewelry at a fraction of the cost. Elevate your style at the Outlet by Sartor Heyman, where luxury and affordability meet. Downtown at 12th and O or online at sartorheyman.com.
Gray Diesel and Equipment Services is your go-to place in Lincoln for repairs and maintenance for diesel pickups to Class 8 over-the-road trucks and trailers, from bumper pole utility to full-size semi. Gray performs DOT inspections and are a service provider for fleet companies like ARI, Element Fleet, and FleetNet. They're a family-owned business in operation since 1952, and they keep a clean, friendly shop. Customer service is their top priority. Give Gray Diesel and Equipment Services a visit today, with easy access just off I-80 and North 56th Street.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com.
On the internet.
KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket. 93.7 The Ticket. Fox, KFXL Weather. Sponsored by John Henry's Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning.
Your Lincoln forecast for today: some clouds this morning will give way to sunshine this afternoon. It'll be breezy but warm. We'll see a high around 50. Tonight, mainly clear skies expected with a low around 29. And tomorrow, mostly cloudy skies do return. We'll see a high around 50. Meteorologist Kyle Clucker from 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome in to the Ahman Green Show on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. 12-year NFL veteran.
He's got some speed to go with strength.
Huskers and Green Bay Packers Hall of Famer.
Shovel pass to Green into Vikings territory. Finally brought down.
And University of Nebraska eSports coach.
Green all by himself. 20, 10, touchdown. 98 yards and a Lambeau leap.
Here is your host, Ahman Green.
What's up? Welcome to the Ahman Green Show. I'm your host, Ahman Green. What's up, Harrison? On the ones and twos in Lincoln.
Snarns on the ones and twos. We got the host, as always, Ahman Green, streaming in from Houston. Ahman Green, how's it going on this Tuesday night here?
It's going good. Going good as usual. Just
I'm not getting any audio from you right now, Ahman.
Really? Hold on.
Nonetheless, I'll let you troubleshoot nonetheless. And if you guys want to join the show, definitely feel free to do so. Sartor Heyman text line 402-464-5685. Streaming on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, and Allo channel 951. It's been an absolute whirlwind in Nebraska media. Obviously, the Dylan Raiola news happens last night. That gets a ton of people excited.
Got me now? Hello?
See if we can get Ahman Green back. All right, Ahman Green, see if we can get you back real quick.
Got me? Hello?
We're good now. Yeah.
All right.
Okay. So troubleshooting there. Nice. It was quick and easy for the listeners nonetheless. But yeah, just how's it going on this Tuesday night? It's been a whirlwind. We've talked about it a little bit yesterday with the Dylan Raiola. We didn't have a whole lot of time to talk about the Husker volleyball season and then esports as well. But I'll throw it to you, and as well as the text line. Where do you want to start with it?
Well, it's quiet on the esports front. It's just we have mid-season break from the BEC, from the big esports conference. So players are just wrapped up their finals from last week. So now we're just kind of going through administrative things. We have meetings coming up, or we're talking through Discord most of the time. Mm-hmm. And we got a couple things that I'm going to put in the Discord tonight that we need to get ready for spring is our team activity for the spring, our first one coming up, looking at late February, maybe early March. And then we have a club fair that's coming at the end of January as well. So I got to mention, I'm going to drop those in the chat tonight after the show this evening. And, but yeah, just getting news on what's going on in Lincoln, man. I mean, also, big stuff with Dylan coming in and flipping sides. We talked about that a lot yesterday, but today I'm looking at the feed on Nebraska volleyball. We had Carolina Vicious and Hayden Kubik both jump into the portal. Carolina Vicious is the daughter of Joe Jared Vicious, was in the NFL around my time. Actually, we got drafted the same year. And she didn't get to play a whole lot this year. She was redshirted this year by John Cook and his team and coaches. So that was probably the reason there. And then Hayden only played in 9 matches there. So for players these days, that transfer portal comes in where they feel they could get more time somewhere else. But it's unfortunate because I'm pretty sure they were really good players, and to have that happen, a lot around along with the loss to Texas in the championship game. So just kind of, as a coaching staff, it's like, man, we recruited you 2 ladies for a reason. And now, you decided to, move on. You can't, change their mind once they make a decision like this, and maybe it could happen, but never know. But for right now, they decided to move on.
Yeah, they hit the portal, and it's you look at that Nebraska volleyball program, and you can look at it like the powerhouses in football. It's just there's so many great players on that team that I'm sure those girls will play great wherever their next stop may be. But yeah, it's definitely one of those things where you wish you could keep them around for the depth. We've seen John Cook. He's not afraid to pull players and try someone else new in the lineup to see what they can get going on. So it does hurt Nebraska a little bit on that depth. But luckily, they still retain a lot of their key players from last season. But something to keep an eye on here as transfer portal continues. And, even talking in college football, there's always wide receivers hopping in the portal. So it's probably not the end of it. But we'll see and continue to watch them. But knowing one thing about John Cook is he'll be able to find some ways to kind of patch those replacements. For the biggest part, though, it makes sense for those girls, right? You said it, you're on a very talented team. Minutes wise, it's a young roster that we saw. I mean, they're going to be good for a while to come. So it does make sense that they might look elsewhere just to kind of get some reps wherever they may end up. But yeah, shout out to those girls. Nonetheless, great season for Nebraska. They were a big part of that, helping that team get all the way to the championship round. Even if they weren't playing, those practices had to be intense regardless to get that far. So yeah, it'll be curious to see where they end up landing. But nonetheless, I think it's just 2 right now off the volleyball team in the portal.
Yeah,
I don't think we've had it the wrong. So yeah, just 2 players in the portal there.
Just 2 so far,
and that's really not that bad. Kind of looking at a lot of these programs around here in Nebraska, it feels like we've been fortunate not having these players hit the portal. We talk about the Nebraska football all the time. You don't see a lot of players hitting the portal. Even basketball this season, Keisei Tominaga wanting to come back for his debut. It does feel like there is momentum here at Nebraska, and we talked about the Dylan Raiola news. But what do you think that does as a whole, just for the program, for the university and across all athletics to kind of build that momentum? The girls, I mean, you might have to give them a back brace after all the years they're really holding up the athletics department, doing a fantastic job. But now it feels like a lot of the men's program. I want to shout out the wrestling team. The wrestling team's always been fantastic.
Bowling too. Bowling's been balling.
Absolutely. And of course, swim and dive, track and field doesn't get enough credit on what they did last season. But what do you think this momentum could possibly do with Dylan Raiola, not just for the football program, but across all the athletics? Because it feels like most things are trending in a positive direction.
I say it brings in a lot of attention because everybody's going to, pay attention and hear this and see this on the news feeds all over the internet. And so other athletes may, tune in and maybe be a part of a little bit of influence, coming down the line when they got to make a decision, is wondering, even though it might be a different sport, and you have that at some universities. I mean, back then, in the 90s, between Miami, USC, UCLA, University of Washington, up in Seattle, no matter the sport, those were prominent schools in all the sports, in football, in baseball, in basketball, stuff like that. And so sometimes when you have a polarizing athlete to come into one sport, they might, just so happen to track other athletes just off of being a fan, or maybe went to the same area high school where where Dylan came from, stuff like that. So it's just so many factors of what filters in into what pushes athletes to come to one school. What is that hot school in that time, that 5-10 year span, and why were athletes there? And I'll say what the biggest part for athletic department, it wants to be, the reason is the coaching is there at every sport. And that is why the players are making decisions, because they know they're getting that player development to get them to the next level between graduating and then getting on to their professional sports now. I think that would be something for me as a parent looking for my child to, if baseball, basketball, football, whatever sport, then, making sure they go to a program that's not only going to help them get their education, but then get them ready for if they do have that option to play professionally in their sport.
Absolutely. And I want to ask you about some of the pressure that Raiola might face, because you were in a circumstance where you're a big name. Kind of compare maybe some of the pressure you have, because I don't think he's going to come in here thinking I got to be the savior of this program. I think, he came there because there's a line that's going to be a little older, more veteran line he can play behind under Donovan Raiola. He's got that relationship there. I mean, obviously his dad being the player he was, he's probably been hearing that pressure since he was a little kid, having his dad be that figure. He's the next kid. People were expecting a lot from him early on. He's handled it really well. But when it came to Nebraska, how did you handle that pressure of trying to be that next guy that everyone's kind of looking at you?
Yeah, I mean, and you hit the nail on the head. It is all about that pressure and how it comes to that athlete, how it hits that athlete. And for me, it was real easy. Conversation I had with my older brother Jerry, and it was real simple. I remember it was the last day of training camp, and I was sitting in Coach Ellis' office, and it was a number question. What number do you want to run with this season? And it was actually right before training camp because it was going into camp. So they said, what number do you want to wear for camp? And I'm like thinking in my head, 34. That's what I wore in high school. That was really the only number I was going to roll with, because I rode that for 4 years or 3 years of high school. First year I wore number 1. I didn't like the single digit thing at North. They gave it to me, and I didn't argue. I just said, all right, I'll take it. But I never literally got used to it. So I was like, I knew right away I wasn't going to be a single digit guy. But Coach Sola says to me, well, we know you had a fantastic camp, or we know you fantastic player in which you got a lot of potential. These are the numbers that are available, and one of them was 30. And I'm like sitting in my head like, well, in my head I was like, was it the last? I think Mike Rozier was the last person to wear number 30. So it was pressure that I started to put on myself, because I hear that come out of Coach Sola's mouth, and I'm like, can I think about it? He's like, yeah. He's like, yeah, no rush. We could let practice starts tomorrow. Just need to know before the jerseys get handed out in the locker, so guys know where to put your uniform or your practice jersey. And I'm like, okay. And so I went back to my dorm room that night and called my older brother up and said, bro, they want me to wear number 30. And I'm like, I know who the last one that wore that number. He said, and? He said, so what's the problem? He said, hey, you ain't got to fill his shoes. You got to make your own shoes and fill them. And it was something this simple. Just said that, and it was like, bam, that's all I needed to hear. I said, okay. I said that took all the weight of knowing that Mike Rozier was a Heisman Trophy winner. Mike Rozier was a national title champion along with that team and that roster that he played with. And now it's like, okay, I'm looking back at that, and saying that he did that. They did that together in 83, 84. Coach Osborne was coaching then, and all that stuff was just kind of just in that one simple line. To me, my brother Jeremy helped me out. I don't think I've ever taught. I probably never. I need to mention to him more how much that little line helped me out my freshman year, beyond my teammates welcoming me in. Because then after that, I was like, I was back in high school again. I was like, oh, I'm with my boys. I'm gonna have me some fun. Get beat up by the defense and see what happens. And so then all the pressure was just about me going to be an athlete and playing football and having fun at that moment, learning the new playbook, learning my new teammates, and being a college student and a college student athlete. And then it just went away from there. So for Dylan, it's the same thing. And that's why I said what I said when I had the conversation with him, was hopefully one of those lines that I said to him about when I made my decision just brings it into where it's not on his back. And we talked about this yesterday. It's not on him. He has to come in and get himself ready physically, mentally, and be a student on top of that. But all this weight is not on him. The defense has still got to hold their weight. The running backs, the wide receivers, the O-line, the D-line, everybody has to do their job. Coaches got to make sure they're prepared every game. They could go in the spring. They got to go in the spring ball a certain way and come out a certain way. They have goals for the team. That's the coaches. And then going in and out of training camp, they're going to have goals for the team to make sure they at a certain level to compete in another season in the Big Ten. And so for Dylan, it just, hopefully maybe he has that conversation with his dad or with his uncle or, whomever that gets him to kind of, mellow out and not put that pressure on him, but which can be easily, added on, knowing his, as you mentioned already, his background from his legacy to being at Georgia, now transferring in, flipping and all that. And hearing Georgia fans, oh, why you trade over? You trade or so what, man? This is his life. That's what fans. I mean, I love the fans out there, love them to death, but sometimes fans get lost, and we're just kids. He is a teenager, and he's making one of the bigger decisions, one of his first major decisions in his life. Every college athlete, this is their first big decision as an adult, as a young adult in their life. When I thought about all the major decisions, from getting married to having kids to, making investments, this was my first in my life. And I made sure That's why it took so long. That was one of the reasons I was the last scholarship offer that I took. I took that scholarship because I'm like, in my head, I'm bouncing back. I had pressure on, like, is this, this decision could do this for me. I'm thinking about all the different scenarios. If I went to Nebraska, I went to Arizona, okay, what's going to happen, And the one thing I knew, between family, I wanted to win a national title. And I knew this team was a little bit more prime than Arizona Wildcats at that time. And I made my decision and never looked back from that moment on. And so for Dylan, like I said, just come in here, get to a point where you're comfortable, playing your ball, like your football, your type of football, and how you got comfortable at the high school level, how you got comfortable at the Little League level. Find those moments. He'll find that moment and be like, you know what? Yeah, I'm in my groove. And then it'll come, and that's how I looked at it. It's like, oh man, I feel good. I feel like I'm back at Central now. I'm running down the sidelines against North or Benson or whoever. You had to have that in your head as an athlete, because it's a mental game. Once you get higher and higher, physicality is going to be there, but the mental side of it is what I preach. What I preach at every time I get a chance to coach some kids is the mental aspect of it. You can handle that and able to react the proper way, which you're not going to react every time perfectly, but it's the proper way to react to a situation in your game or out your game. That's going to show how far you're going to go in life, and then in your sport in general.
Yeah, and that's one thing, talking about, which makes me feel good about this defense coming back, and that offensive line in particular coming back. Those guys should be able to lead the way until he gets up to full speed for the most part. I mean, it's more of a veteran offensive line we've had at Nebraska in quite some time. The defense, we've seen what they did last year. Year 2 in the 3-3-5, you only expect it to even be better, if not close to what it was last season. So I feel like he will have some time, even with Chubba Purdy, Harburg, what those guys do, they can also bring him up to speed. But I think he'll have his time to get comfortable. How long was it for you? Was it in practice? Did it take a few games where you felt like you were back to just playing the ball you knew you played?
It started off with practice. So I got used to practice first because of that defense. We had the black shirt defense. So once it took about a week for me to get used to that defense, because it was just, we could not, I told you, we couldn't get a yard. And then once we had 2 weeks of training camp. That first week it was under my belt. Like, okay, I'll see how it is against these guys. I was forewarned by Lawrence, by Clinton, by Damon, by Tommy. Everybody told me, hey, playing this is practicing against this defense. We can't wait to play the other teams on Saturday. I'm like, okay. I'm like, that means it's going to be tough. And it was. And it was. And so once the season started, then it was now the game. So practice, I got used to practicing. I got used to training camp and all that, weight room, school. Now it's the game. So first game of my freshman year was Thursday Night Football on ESPN against Oklahoma State in Stillwater. So it was now, and I went down. I told the story, and it went down the line of all the nervousness, all the anxiety before the game, and excitement of being on TV. All that was in my head. And again, Coach Solich, one line said, "Hey, if you're nervous, that means that's your body telling you you're ready to go." And I don't know if that's right or wrong, but it's all I needed to hear to calm me down for that night, to have a good night's sleep, and then get me ready to play football. And then I looked at it, and I'm like thinking about it, like, wait a minute, I'm not starting. Lawrence is starting. I won't see the game. I'll see the game on sidelines most of the game, which I did. I got in, like, I think maybe late second quarter or maybe late third quarter, and got in
those first few plays when you got in.
Yeah, what's that?
Do you have those jitters on those first few plays, or at that point were you pretty locked in?
I'd say by that point I was locked in. For one, the score was what it was. We were up by like 30 or 40. So I was like, all right, if I do anything bad, I'm just gonna have to take the business from Coach Solich on Monday. But nothing happened. I had a good game for the few carries that I had. I had a touchdown and a nice run on my first carry. So all that just came in, and it just got me comfortable right away. But it was just one of those things, making sure that you don't overthink it. And that's what sometimes we do, but that's okay. Like Coach Solich said, it's your nervousness but your body telling you you're ready to go.
Yeah, and it is intriguing, how you picked Nebraska over the Wildcats at that point in time because you felt they were more primed to win that national championship. Dylan Raiola, it takes a complete opposite approach, which
it's different.
Yeah, everyone's got their own. How you see your opportunity is up to you, and it's really cool for me to see And I thought he worded it well, by saying being a cog in a powerhouse machine. I think that's a good hats off to Georgia, recognizing what they've been through the past few years. But to come to Nebraska, to me, that's what I think it maybe came down to. You can argue NIL as well, but when it came to Nebraska, I think he saw that opportunity where, again, I don't want him to have that savior complex, which I don't think he does. He's going to be cocky, which I expect, but in a way that's not disrespectful. Yeah. I mean, if you're that good, you're going to have a little bit of an edge to you at that point, which is if you're playing that quarterback position, we've seen that go very well time and time again for the most part. So it'll be interesting. And I think he saw the opportunity here if he could come to Nebraska and really start shifting this program, even if it's not a national championship, to get us back on the right track. The last Power 5 school, since 2016, since the school's been to a bowl game. It is interesting that he saw that opportunity, and he must like what he's seeing in the offensive line. He must like what he's hearing from Matt Rule. And that's another thing that does give me hope, because you're not going to get the number one recruit in the country if he's not buying into what Matt Rule is selling. If he sees a line that's not going to protect him, he's not going to go there. So I think having Donovan Raiola there, again, I can't stress enough how big it is to keep him there, not only for the connections with Raiola, but the offensive line has improved. I think they can continue to improve. But I also thought they did that during the season last year. So now you got another year with those guys, continue to get better, and that's going to give Dylan Raiola some confidence to sit back there. And then we have the OJCJ saying Dylan is right. Georgia has 18 4-stars, maybe 19. And yeah, it is a powerhouse machine over there in Georgia. And that's why I thought it was a good hats off. I thought he left on a note that by saying that it wasn't disrespectful at all. He was giving hats off to Georgia, understanding he's leaving a school that has been a powerhouse. If they're not winning the national championship, they're in the conversation for the past 5 years.
Exactly. Is that Kirby Smart's done a good job out there being a disciple of Nick Saban, and he's a lot of his coaches. I say other than Harbaugh, that's in the race right now. A lot of his coaches are in the race. A few years ago, you go back 3-4 years ago, you had Dabo, Sweeney, and a few other guys that were all part of Nick Saban's coaching tree that are in the playoffs or had their team in top bowl, Christmas Day bowl games and a New Year's Day bowl games, not the stuff that happened a weekend ago. These real bowl games that count for something. I kind of, joke about it, but it was something that we had a little goal about ourselves. And, my time was, hey, we want to be in a big bowl game. We don't want to be in the Blockbuster bowl game. No, we don't want to be in the Gasparilla bowl game. We know every bowl game means something to a team, but for us, it was the national title game. So if the national title game was the Rose Bowl, that's where we wanted to go. Where it was the Orange Bowl, Sugar Bowl, Tostitos Fiesta Bowl. That was our goal. So if we didn't end up there, it was something we didn't want to be at. But we had to respect the trip. Like the Orange Bowl, my sophomore year was that game because we did not make it to the national title game. It was in Sugar Bowl that year in New Orleans, and you know what? It was a lot of guys that did not want to be in Miami. I'm like, man, we're going to Miami again, or first time actually. I'll take that back. It was my first time. But the next year was the second time. But still, guys, that first time was like, no, we don't want to be here. A lot of the seniors was like, no, we did not accomplish what we wanted. We set out for at the start of the '96 season. It was derailed, a little bit by ASU early in the season, but then we got everything together. But then Texas was able to trip us up in the Big 12 championship game. And then after that, guys, we all disappointed, including myself. Even though I had a broke foot, still was disappointed of not being available, to be out on that field, regardless of what the reasons were behind it. And so, that is what you got to look at, for this team coming in with Dylan. They got to look at all the facets and knowing that, everybody's going to be held accountable for their part and get themselves ready for the next season coming up, starting in spring ball. And so that's what the fun part is for Dylan is going to have. Will he have spring ball or not?
Yeah, but spring ball, I think he'll have his opportunity for spring ball. Let me double check on that one. And who knows? Wednesday too, we'll find out with Matt Rule on signing day how many. He might have some guys in the back pocket as well with signing day. That's always the best part of that Wednesday morning. We'll find out a lot on some other guys that maybe we haven't even been heard about, and we'll hear them sign for Nebraska or elsewhere.
Yeah, exactly. And that's huge. If they get him for spring ball. Hey, so you getting that in and then training camp too. So that's lovely. So what's up? I see chat real quick. Clone, what's up, man? How you doing? One of a Call of Duty team manager there and player, very good player, by the way. And he said we have a chance to win the bowling, volleyball, football, and esports natty next year. There you go. What's that? Is that a triple crown right there? I would love to do
better.
Oh yeah.
I think that's even better. I mean, that's 1, 2, 3, 4.
Damn.
So you get a quadruple crown right there.
Oh yeah, that's right. Quadruple crown. My bad.
Yeah. And who knows? We didn't even talk about, basketball. That's a tougher one. But that program has also been trending in a very positive direction. I want to talk about those guys on the next segment, as it's kind of just been what I would call December has been a feel-good month for Husker athletics. I understand that the volleyball team lost, but they still made it to the national championship, which was an incredible run nonetheless. So in the next segment, we'll talk about some Nebraska hoops as well, but don't go anywhere on the Ahman Green Show. Harrison, Ahman Green streaming in as always. We'll talk to you guys on the other side.
Concrete Industries, a Nebco company, has immediate job openings for precast production laborers. Concrete Industries offers great pay, health benefits, 401k, a wellness program, holidays, and paid time off. Apply today to earn a starting pay of $20 per hour and a $1,500 hiring bonus. Concrete Industries is hiring all experience levels and offers on-the-job training. Start your career today as a precast production laborer. Visit concreteindustries.com.
My dream was to work in commercial banking, but it required a college degree and I didn't have one. I found out that Doane had classes for adult learners on the Lincoln campus and online. So I earned my bachelor's degree, and 5 months later, I landed my dream job. I decided to continue my education, and now I'm working on my MBA at Doane. For me, the Doane experience has been life-changing.
New year, new career. The new year is just around the corner. Why not start it off strong with a new career? General Excavating is looking for qualified underground utility project managers. Check out our website, generalexcavating.com, or call 402-467-1627 for more information. Happy holidays from General Excavating.
Wall to Wall Wine and Spirits is now open in Lincoln. Shop our expansive collection of wine, beer, spirits, and cigars at 5040 North 27th Street. From top shelf liquor to crowd favorite beer, Wall to Wall Wine and Spirits has a beverage for every taste and every budget. Plus, join our loyalty program to earn rewards and save on future purchases. Shop Wall to Wall Wine and Spirits at 5040 North 27th Street in Lincoln. That's 5040 North 27th Street.
Not many businesses can say they've made it 60 years, but Madsen's Bowling and Billiards can. With 12 bowling lanes and the biggest pool room in Nebraska, where else would you go to enjoy an afternoon or evening? There's a great daily specials like $2 Tuesdays, games of bowling, shoe rentals, draft beers, and tacos, all just $2 each. Have a delicious burger at EJ's Lounge before or after your bowling or pool session, and you'll leave satisfied. Madsen's Bowling and Billiards at 47th and Dudley.
Whether you're booking a trip to Lincoln for a football game or a volleyball weekend, the Scarlet Hotel at Innovation Campus is the place for you. The Scarlet Hotel is special on many levels, from the delicious Well and Good restaurant on the main floor to the coolest rooftop patio bar in Lincoln, the Barred Owl, on the top floor of the hotel with great views of the city and one of the coolest drink menus. Book your stay or book a staycation today at scarlethotelnebraska.com.
A child's learning doesn't just happen in a classroom. It happens wherever they are, all day, every day. What you teach your child at home is every bit as important as what they learn in school. Talk to your child about your family, your history, the foods you eat, the holidays you celebrate, and the values that are important to you. Tolerance, honesty, respect. Remember, you are your child's first and most important teacher.
Sponsored by the Nebraska State Education Association, aired by the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
Working at Continental in Lincoln isn't a job, it's a career. And right now, they've raised wages again, and they're hiring for production operators at $24.62 per hour, which grows to $28.97 per hour within 3 years. Skilled trade positions now start at $33.36 per hour, with opportunities to make more based on certifications. Continental also has salary jobs available and great benefits, plus medical and prescription costs at very low premiums. Dental, vision, and life insurance are offered at no premium cost to the associates, with increased bonuses and vacation for new hires. To learn more or apply, go to continentaljobs.com with keyword Lincoln. Come work at Continental today. If you're in Seward or Milford, listen up. Select Plumbing is now servicing your area with no trip charges from Lincoln. Select Plumbing works on a variety of issues for your home and business, including general plumbing, water heaters, faucet and fixture repair, underground sewer and water repairs, backflow testing, and more. Keep your property free from leaks and other issues. Call today for a free estimate, 402-560-6197. It's not just Lincoln, Waverly, and the surrounding area anymore. It's also Seward and Milford with no trip charges. Contact Select Plumbing to inquire at 402-560-6197.
Problem gambling is not just a financial issue. It's an emotional problem with financial consequences. If your loved one is struggling with addiction, contact Choices Treatment Center's 24-hour helpline at 402-476-2300. That's 402-476-2300.
At Koppel, during the holidays, we take time to cherish our terrific staff, community, and loyal customers that continue to drive that money-saving mile to Louisville, Nebraska. Hi, this is Sean Callahan. I can proudly say I bought my car at Koppel. If you are in the area, I invite you to stop by Koppel Chevrolet GMC's offices in Louisville or check them out online at koppelcars.com. On behalf of Koppel Chevrolet GMC, Merry Christmas and safe travels to all.
Introducing The Outlet by Sartor Heyman. The Outlet brings you luxurious Sartor Heyman quality jewelry at unbeatable prices. Shop our expansive inventory of overstocked merchandise and a vast estate collection that just hasn't found its home yet. This is your chance to own stunning designer jewelry at a fraction of the cost. Elevate your style at The Outlet by Sartor Heyman, where luxury and affordability meet. Downtown at 12th and O or online at sartorheyman.com.
93.7 The Ticket, Fox, KFXL weather. Brought to you by Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing.
Your Lincoln forecast for today, some clouds this morning will give way to sunshine this afternoon. It'll be breezy but warm. We'll see a high around 50. Tonight, mainly clear skies expected with a low around 29. And tomorrow, mostly cloudy skies do return. We'll see a high around 50. Meteorologist Kyle Plecker from 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
This is the Ahman Green Show on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
All right, welcome back into the Ahman Green Show. I'm Harrison Arns on the ones and twos, back at the 1040 Ticket Studio. Of course, Ahman Green, host of the show, streaming in, as always, from Houston as he's back for the holidays. But nonetheless, I do want to talk about this Nebraska basketball team because they've been on a roll as of late. I shouldn't say roll. They did take 2 losses, but they've rebounded well. They beat Michigan State, and then they go on to beat Kansas State as well on the road in that Kansas State game. And what's been really impressive is Rink Mast, who has just been a double-double machine as of late. He picked up 14 rebounds, and then let me double-check here. I believe he had 14 rebounds. Juwan Gary had a monster performance as well, scoring a double-double. So, yeah, Rink Mast, 19 points, 12 boards, and then Juwan Gary on top of that, 18 rebounds, 13 points. And those 18 boards, a lot of them were on the offensive glass.
Yeah, 11 of them was on the offense side of it. Yes,
it's just incredible. Just kind of see that unit. And that's one thing with this court. Juwan Gary has consistently, to me, been one of our best players. And a lot of people were expecting Keisei Tamanaga to kind of be that guy for Nebraska, and he has been at times. But it's been a collective effort, and that's what's been so impressive to me about this team. It's the assist numbers, combined with you can have a different leading scorer, what feels like just about any other night. And on top of just unselfish play. They move the ball really well. If someone has the hot hand, they make sure to feed it to them. But nonetheless, it's just really good basketball, fundamental-wise. When you're watching this team, what about you is impressing you the most watching these guys play?
Well, just everybody collaborating together. I mean, you add in also Bryce Williams, who nearly gave the Huskers 3 players with another double-double, basically going on 10 points, 9 boards for himself. But then the part I like is the boards, 57-40 advantage right now over other teams. And so including 22 offensive. So that just bring me back to my days watching, Dennis Rodman, where you didn't score no points, but he had boards after boards and would kick it back to Joe Dumars or Isaiah Thomas. So when you have a player that's doing that, we have players that are grabbing them boards and then resetting the play clock back to 24 and then getting back to the offensive formation and then calling out the next play, that is huge because teams get frustrated because obviously you want that board for yourself and then try to get it back down court and get an opportunity for your offense to score. And you can't do that when you got Nebraska Cornhuskers grabbing boards like hotcakes, basically, and keeping it and hoarding them for themselves. And that's what you want for a team.
Yeah, and it really showed. I mean, Kansas State only 12 points in that entire second half. A lot of that, like you said, transition buckets were essentially non-existent for him. Because offensively they were struggling on shots, but even at times we were just grabbing every defensive board, and then offensively as well. We talked about it, but just a monster on the offensive board. And watching that Kansas State team, yes, I don't think they were playing their best offensive style, but that's where you have to give credit to Nebraska's defense for never letting them get comfortable, never letting them get to a situation where they felt like they could get some rhythm going. Because that whole game, particularly in that second half, Kansas State, they looked lost on offense on how they could attack that team. And again, I just got to credit that front court a lot. It's probably the biggest talking point to me going into the season. Losing Derek Walker to a lot of people was kind of scary. What is this team going to look like without the giant Derek Walker inside? Because he was kind of like Rink Maston. He was a good playmaker, but he could also just go straight downhill and power his way to the cup. Rink Mast is shown that offensively he can be just as effective with some great jump shooting, post moves, not as strong inside, but good footwork to kind of finish around those taller trees. And we've seen it a few times now when he is dealing with those players that are getting closer to that 7-foot range. He's handled himself pretty well. I mean, the rebounds speak for itself. So I do expect this team to continue to play solid. I think they have a legit shot on making the tournament. In years past, when they're kind of on this pace, they've made it just about every single time. So it does give me a lot of hope. In year 5 with Fred Hoiberg, this is a good sign because I felt like he needed to kind of have this year to really get the Nebraska fan base to buy back in. Am I overvaluing that too much, or was this kind of the year for you too, where we really needed to see some wins under Coach Fred Hoiberg?
I'm saying, with his time being on campus, and then also I look at the fact that being in the Big Ten for almost 10 years now, where we're kind of getting our footing right now, because we know Big Ten was one of those conferences in the basketball. In basketball that was competitive throughout a lot of teams in the Big Ten. So a lot of these Big Ten teams would show up in the NCAA bracket, either a 1 seed, a 2 seed, or in the top 5 seeds, and making sure you have that, getting ready for that and getting beat up in the last 8-9 years. I think we're getting to our pace to where these early games, we set the tempo right now for the other team, because we know Indiana's going to set that tempo for us. Ohio State is going to do that. And every now and then Minnesota or Illinois has a squad coming around. So that's teams within a conference that we're going to face like 2-3 times in a season for our men's basketball team. So, and I say men's and women's basketball team. So when you get used to that, then you what, we got to crank it up a notch during our lead-in games into Big Ten conference gameplay. Because once you get behind the 8 ball, and that, it's always slow. It's hard to catch up because you got these teams that get out front. They play in these early tournaments. They play well in the early games against teams that are, probably beatable, but still it's a competition in itself to get them ready for the regular season.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting too with that expansion next season. You're going to add a lot more Big Ten teams in there. We will get to a point in particular. I'll ask you about this next with the Big Ten play in the tournament, but it does feel like the Big Ten in tournament play is losing a little bit of respect. You have to go way back to really find those teams that represented the Big Ten in championship game. You look at Michigan State and Frank the Tank down in Wisconsin. Really, last time teams got to the Final Four or into the championship game itself with Wisconsin. But you're going to add a bunch of teams in there, and I don't think just being slightly above, 500 or even at 500 in the Big Ten play is going to get you there next season. I mean, last year you had a Iowa team with 14 losses that still found a way to get in. I think that does die out when you add all this talent in here. But do you have an idea what is holding the Big Ten back in particular when it does come to the tournament? Because they beat teams in the regular season. They look solid. Purdue obviously being the best example. Shout out to Northwestern as we're talking about good teams in the Big Ten. Northwestern was able to take them down, maybe just seeing them enough times. But if you had to take a guess, what has been the Big Ten's biggest problem with all the teams in the tournament where, for whatever reason, they just can't seem to perform to the expectation they are heading into it?
I say just probably the matchup problem, having 1 or 2 players on the team that is that player, if having a a guy in the center or a guy in the post at forward position, and or having that point guard that's come down and either is really good passer or just a really good all-around player where they pass the ball, shoot the ball, and they also play defense well. When you have those leaders in those positions or on that team, no matter the position, because there's only 5 players on the court offensively, so that brings in a dynamic to a team that kind of boosts everybody up. When you have one player that can then is healthy and is playing well, he can influence all the other 4 players on the team, and that's not much influence he has to spread around. And then everybody gets the idea of what they got to do, how they need to step up their play. You look at, I'm always reference the best basketball that I ever see play basketball, Michael Jordan. When he was on the court, it elevated everybody's game from a part of, well, we're going to win because he's playing type of mindset, or MJ's doing this, Michael's doing this, I need to do this. If he's going to score points, I need to get boards and score points, because that is going to just make the team better. So when you have that type of collaboration among athletes on the same team, then that's where teams then become a problem, for other teams that they got to face during the season.
And that's what gives me a lot of hope about this Nebraska roster. As we kind of hinted at before, it's been a collective effort just about every single night. And a lot of surprises. I think, I keep talking about Mass, but he has just been a really pleasant, mature player. He was a winner before he came to Nebraska, and it's shown in a big way. And then, and a guy in Sam Hoiberg, who's really been that defensive lockup, seems to make the right play every time, even though he's undersized. He definitely helps in that rebounding department. You'll never see that guy not grab a body once the ball hits the rim. He's really good at that. And that's just something that this year they've taken a lot of pride in. And the defense as well. That's one thing when it comes to basketball. And every single time I'm looking at the tournament, everyone's doing their March Madness bracket picks. Number one thing you look at, defense. Look at that team's defensive rating, because you're not going to go cold from defense. Or if you do, it's pretty rare for the most part. That's going to stay with you, locked into your DNA. You can always have an off shooting night, but defense, period. It's the same thing in the NBA. You look at the teams that make it, to the semifinals, finals, they're typically top 5 defenses. You're not going to see teams in the 18s defensive rating. They're going to be elite defensive teams on top of, you can even be an average offense and still find your way down there. So that's another thing with this team, where you're playing great defense. You kept that with you last season. That's how you were able to kind of turn on the Jets to win those games when all those injuries happened. And it looks like it stayed retained with them, and they're doing an excellent job. Again, 12 points in the second half for Kansas State. Just kind of incredible numbers there, along with the free throw numbers coming up. That's going to help you close out a lot of games as well. We do have one from the text line here that I do want to ask you about from Jeremy. And again, 402-464-5685. If you guys do want to join the text line. Did you have a chance to read the Dylan Raiola quote when he did commit, the little poem he had? Okay, you didn't. Let me see if I can pull. I bet you I can pull it up very fast. It was essentially a quote referring to all the legends here at Nebraska. Why it's kind of a Dr. Seuss-esque poem, if you will. And it did catch the place by storm.
I got it.
You mentioned some legends in there. You got it in front of you?
Hold on. I'm looking for it right now.
Yep, I've got it pulled up and just
here we go. Here we go.
Read it out loud. Read it out loud, and then I'll ask Jeremy's question.
All right. It says Dylan announced on Monday that he flipped his commitment, the longtime Bulldog. Okay, All right, here we go. The night before Christmas, here's Dylan Raiola's poem. In the realm of college dreams, where purpose takes flight, enter Dylan Raiola, crafting his narrative in the night. Once lured by Georgia, where powerhouse glory gleamed, yet Nebraska's purpose in his heart brightly beamed. In the scarlet and cream, where legacies entwine, Dylan, like Rogers, Rozier, and Crouch, a hero in line. No longer.
That's where I want to stop. That line. Read those legends one more time.
Yeah, Rogers, Rozier, and Crouch, a hero in line. I like it.
Jeremy from the text line. I'd like to know what our man Ahman thinks about getting snubbed in the Raiola poem. I'm going to give Ahman the ball every time.
No, man. Well, those are the Heisman Trophy winners. You know what? I got to give respect due. If I would have stayed my senior year, hey, I might have been a part of that, as would have been the fourth one before Eric. So, hey, it is what it is. But when we talked, that's nothing. That's something I got over a long time ago. I'll be honest, because it did bother me a little bit. If I would have got my senior year in, maybe I would have got it. I definitely would have had opportunity. to be
100%. No
on the
question.
ballot. It would have been me. It would have been a nice little trip to New York because it would have been Ricky Williams, myself, I believe. Trying to think anybody else quarterback wise, because running back, me and Ricky would have wrapped it up in terms of running backs, but quarterback in '98, can't really think of who was there. But I know myself and Ricky Williams would have been the one too from the same conference too, which would have been very rare at that time. And that was part of the reason we didn't go out our junior years. That's what I heard too in '97. We didn't go out there because they didn't want two running back from the same conference in New York when Randy Moss, Ryan Leaf, Peyton Manning, and Charles Woodson and Charles Woodson won. So I kind of like, oh, okay. I see they're just little haters. You know, they didn't like two ballers from the same conference going out to New York City representing the Big 12. You know, it is what it is. So, but no, I love the line. No, I have no qualms against that line right there because, like I said, game recognized game. I know he's going to be a baller in here, but to recognize those guys, they earned it. You know, they all earned their trophy, and you know, I wish but I still am excited because I got my 2 rings. I got 2 national title rings. So that is, if you got to equal out, I don't know, but I'll take that. And so I want to finish looking at this thing. That was nice. I didn't know he did that. He's clever. He's already got the nice PR. Already the PR juices are flowing and everything in this young man right here. I think kids today have that. They have that because the social media wasn't a part of our lives, but now that's a part of these young athletes and people's lives where they can learn how to be more have the on-camera presence or
aesthetically pleasing.
Is aesthetically pleasing from writing to what you look like on camera, how you present yourself. I think kids today definitely have that now.
Oh, 100%, especially with ChatGPT. You can always get a rough draft going for you real quick to figure it out later.
100%.
Well, with that being said, here we got to go ahead and throw it to our final break here on the Ahman Green Show. Of course, Harrison on the 1s and 2s back here at the Ticket Studios. Ahman Green streaming in from Houston. We'll go to break here and talk to you guys on the other side.
I'm Karen Carr. I've been a realtor for 31 years. When I made a company change 12 years ago, I chose Lincoln First Realty, now NP Dodge. It's the oldest independently owned realty company in the country. Since becoming NP Dodge, we've continued our tradition of community involvement. Our management and staff are always available to offer support in marketing, technology, social media, and educational opportunities.
Expand your career with NP Dodge. Call Eric at 402-434-2222.
Working at Continental in Lincoln isn't a job, it's a career. And right now, they've raised wages again, and they're hiring for production operators at $24.62 per hour, which grows to $28.97 per hour within 3 years. Skilled trade positions now start at $33.36 per hour, with opportunities to make more based on certifications. Continental also has salary jobs available and great benefits, plus medical and prescription costs at very low premiums. Dental, vision, and life insurance are offered at no premium cost to the associates, with increased bonuses and vacation for new hires. To learn more or apply, go to continentaljobs.com with keyword Lincoln. Come work at Continental today.
Wall-to-Wall Wine and Spirits is now open in Lincoln. Shop our expansive collection of wine, beer, spirits, and cigars at 5040 North 27th Street. From top shelf liquor to crowd favorite beer, Wall-to-Wall Wine and Spirits has a beverage for every taste and every budget. Plus, join our loyalty program to earn rewards and save on future purchases. Shop Wall-to-Wall Wine and Spirits at 5040 North 27th Street in Lincoln. That's 5040 North 27th Street.
Experience flexibility like never before with Ace Rent-to-Own. Whether you're decorating a new home or upgrading your electronics, they provide easy payment plan options that suit your budget. No credit checks, no hefty interest rates, just straightforward renting solutions designed with you in mind. Find great options to make a beautifully furnished space or surround yourself with the latest gadgets. With Ace Rent-to-Own, it's all within your grasp. Visit acerentoown.com and bring home more than just a product. Bring home a lifestyle.
Rico here with HIS Auto Care at 70th and Van Dorn, letting you know HIS is a great place to bring your vehicle for service. With superior service bumper to bumper, we'll treat your vehicle like it's your mother's. It doesn't get any better than that. So call 402-488-8934 and HIS Auto will make you glad you did. 5% off, mention this ad, and for sure your mother will be proud you called. 402-488-8934. 8934 HIS Auto Care, 70th and Van Doren. God bless you.
Rosie Sports Bar and Grill. Open for lunch and dinner at 10th and P or at 1501 Center Park Road.
Babe, pack your bags. We're going to Vegas.
Vegas?
We just got the estimate from the wedding caterer, and we're going to have to elope.
Actually, Members Owned Credit Union is offering no-fee home equity lines of credit. We can borrow what we need with equity from the house.
Wait, so we can keep the bacon wrap dates for the cocktail hour?
We can keep the bacon wrap dates. From wedding bells to trekking the globe and everything in between, capture your dreams your way with a no-fee Members Owned Credit Union home equity line of credit. Learn more at membersownedheloc.org. Limitations may apply. Equal housing lender.
At Allo, we believe in the exceptional. From extraordinary whole home coverage to super fast speeds, our local teams are always on hand to make sure your service is running at top performance. Let go of lag, banish buffering, and enjoy outstanding service throughout your entire home. We believe in delivering nothing less than exceptional service, so that's exactly what we do. Visit us at allofiber.com to experience the exceptional.
Attention all Wings fans. 89-cent wings are back on Tuesdays at Buffalo Wings and Rings in Lincoln. Enjoy the best wings in town for boneless or traditional at a price that makes the whole family happy. And now at the Williamsburg Village Wings and Rings, you can enjoy $1.50 tall boys in Bud Light, Coors Light, Busch Light, and Michelob Ultra every day after 7 p.m. and all day on Sundays. Get to Wings and Rings today and make sure to stop by on Tuesdays for 89-cent wings.
Are you looking for some holiday fun? This year, start a new tradition. Make the Nebraska Christmas Light Show experience an annual event for your family and a cherished memory to look forward to every year. From Black Friday to January 3rd, buckle up and tune into the rhythm of the lights and let the magic of Christmas take over with the show. Now located at Star City Shores, just off of 27th and Highway 2. Buy your tickets for just $20 or $25 per car today at NebraskaChristmasLightShow.com.
This is former Husker and NFL linebacker Jay Foreman. For years, I've suffered from degenerative problems in both of my ankles, but thanks to a thorough and thought-out plan provided by Advanced Medical Imaging, I was able to get my life back with the least amount of pain as possible. While working through multiple options, the team of physicians at Advanced Medical Imaging were there to answer any questions I had. If you're experiencing any pain at all and want to get your life back, go to amimaging.com or give them a call at 402-484-6677. Advanced Medical Imaging, located at 7601 Pioneers Boulevard.
A child's learning doesn't just happen in a classroom. It happens wherever they are, all day, every day. What you teach your child at home is every bit as important as what they learn in school. Talk to your child about your family, your history, the food you eat, the holidays you celebrate, and the values that are important to you. Tolerance, honesty, respect. Remember, you are your child's first and most important teacher.
Sponsored by the Nebraska State Education Association, aired by the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
This is the Ahman Green Show on 93.7 The Ticket and theticket.fm.com.
All right, welcome back into the Ahman Green Show. Harrison Arns on the ones and twos. Host, as always, Ahman Green streaming in from Houston. We only got a few minutes here left. Before I get to my question here, Ahman Green, is there any house cleaning you want to get away before we get going here that you have coming up?
Yeah, real quick. Obviously, real house cleaning behind me that's going on down in the basement.
Box fortress on your left shoulder here.
Yeah, I'm gonna get that cleared up by the end of next week. Get after Christmas, knock it out a little bit. But yeah, it's a big game that just came out. A lot of my players are playing it. Jay Clone as well, who's in the chat right now. So this game, it's on Steam, it's on PC. It's called The Finals. So The Finals is a free-to-play first-person shooter developed and published by Nixon, subsidiary of Embark Studios. So the game focuses on team-based matches on maps with a destructible environment. That means anything you touch, anything you shoot through, the wood, the drywall, whatever, it reacts. So where players are encouraged to use dynamic environments to their advantage. So they have it where you could pick up boxes almost like Jedi mind trick and throw stuff at the opposing team, or they have a loot box that you have to get for your team to win, like a safe full of money, and you can basically Jedi force push it across the map. So I'm like, you got shooting, you got Jedi powers. Hey, what else does this game need? So this is the new game that a lot of gamers are playing right now. Like I mentioned, the first thing, I don't know if you heard me, free to play. So you could download it for free. So everybody's playing this game right now. And right now it has a rating of 92%. It is liked by everyone who plays. So it came out on December 7th. So about a little bit over a week ago. So that is the hot game in the esports realm. I would say, mark my words, I would say maybe as early as this fall, it'll be an esports title at the collegiate level, high school level. And I think already cooking up at the pro level as well. So
it's that popular already.
Yes, 90. Like I said, 92% likability of whoever plugs in and goes at it. So fun stuff.
It's called the finals.
It's called the finals. Yes, and it's built to be an esports. So whoever Embark Studios made this game knowing like we want to make this the next pro esports title out there, and this is what they're doing. So you got shooting, and you have Jedi mind tricks, Jedi powers going on in this thing. So I'm like, that's the game for me. I've been trying to play it all week, but I got a 3-year-old running around here too, my granddaughter, so she keeps me busy doing things with her. But eventually, I'm gonna lay her down and be like, all right, let me get into this finals.
Absolutely. So that making those competitive games when you want to make it, fun, entertaining with some twists, but still balanced. Have you ever came across games that were trying to go that route where it just felt like the system was too broken? They could never figure out to keep it a balanced, even platform, or maybe this character, this weapon is just so overpowered that the game's, I don't want to say unplayable, but not even.
It was a game a few years before Overwatch came out. It was a game that only stood around. I mean, literally when Overwatch came out, this game was forgotten, and it was called Battleborn. And it had the same setup as Overwatch where you had 5 or 6 champions, and you had like one character that's a tank, another character is DPS, healer, and stuff like that. But the characters were a little wonky. The graphics were a little off. And I think that was more the bitter end for them, was the graphic side of it. I played it. It was a fun game. But then when Overwatch dropped, it was like, what? Battleborn? Huh? Who? What? Where? I was like,
I don't even recognize the name.
Yeah, to my point. Exactly. So Overwatch came down too. And then Fortnite came out right after that too. So it was all around that same 2014, 2016 time. Battleborn was that game. It was an unfortunate beginning of the end when it got launched to when Overwatch and Fortnite came out.
Yeah, and it's incredible as you bring up Fortnite again. The more and more trailers I see on that Epic's game right now, just seems like they're kind of taking over the gaming industry. They've on an absolute roll lately.
Yeah.
Just feels like every other trailer. They got racing now. They got their first-person shooters.
Yeah, shooting, looting, racing, everything. Yeah,
it's just crazy.
Legos. They got Legos like behind me. Man, I'm like, come on. They got everybody. Every demographics out covered right now.
Definitely in a free-to-play era, it seems these days, is that Fortnite seems the one to kind of crack that model. But it'll be interesting to see how that continues in the future. But nonetheless, that's going to wrap it up here for the Ahman Green Show. Be sure to join us tomorrow and then Thursday as well as we wrap up ticket weeknights here before the holidays. So we have the Don't Punt Hour up next. Don't go anywhere. We'll talk to you guys tomorrow.